You've been doing the same workout routine for years. Same exercises, same weights, same schedule, and it's worked great for you. It's familiar and you're committed. But lately, you've noticed your progress has plateaued, your energy's lower, and you're getting kind of bored. And you keep hearing about all these other workouts: functional fitness, CrossFit, HIIT, Pilates. And part of you thinks, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But another part of you wonders if you're missing out on something that could actually make you stronger and that you might like even more. So, how do you know whether to switch things up or keep on doing what you've been doing? Welcome to the Fitness of Business. I'm your host, Leslie Boyce. Today, I'm telling you that you need to be flexible. Mixed messages? Nope, and here's why. Stretching and pivoting in a strategic way while maintaining core values is both smart and sustainable. My guest today is Chelsea Foy. Chelsea is the founder and editor of lifestyle brand Lovely Indeed. Having started in 2010 as a blog, the brand has now expanded to include content creation, speaking engagements, courses, and books. The Lovely Indeed brand is known for its fun, approachable, colorful feel. Seriously, go follow her. Her stuff is beautiful. And it focuses on easy ways to add more joy to the everyday. She's been adding joy to my life since 2007 when we met in New York City doing an off Broadway musical, became instant besties, and have been ever since. But before we chat with Chelsea about her experiences with flexibility in her business, every episode kicks off with a listener question in a segment called, Hey Coach, I want to know, what would you ask if you had a business coach in your back pocket? You can submit your questions at leslie@thefitnessofbusiness.com.
Hey, Coach. A little background on me. I run a successful brick and mortar bookstore, but customers are now expecting things like online orders, book clubs over Zoom, and constant social media engagement from me. I became a bookstore owner to specifically avoid getting into technology, but now it feels like that's all anyone wants. Should I lean into this digital shift or double down on the in person experience?
Chelsea, hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super happy to be here.
Super happy that you're here too. Well, let's just get into it.
Let's do
I
it.
would love to know what you would say to our listener.
That is a tough one. I too have dreams of moving to Stars Hollow and opening a bookshop next to a coffee shop and never having to touch a phone ever again. And unfortunately, I think that dream in this climate perhaps might be a little unreasonable. And I do think that to ignore the digital space entirely is to miss out on a huge portion of your audience who connects in that way. But I do think that there are smart ways to do it. And I do think that you can be picky. I think that you don't have to offer up on a platter everything that you're asked for, but you could conceivably meet those people who connect in that way halfway, in a way that makes sense for you, in a way that, sort of aligns with your values and your time and your bandwidth, because all of what you just described is a full-time job.
Mhm.
Social media content creation alone is a full-time job, let alone setting up events and marketing and whatnot. So if it was me, I would choose one thing. I would choose one thing that I felt the most excited about and go in that direction and see what it yields the business and see if it's sustainable. And if you don't like it, find someone who could maybe do it for you.
Yes, outsource, the beauty of outsourcing.
Yes, we love delegating.
We do love delegating as long as they do it perfectly in just the same way we would.
Exactly. We're so aligned on that.
Speaking of aligned, okay, so you are in a very crowded space. Now, when you first got started in 2010 as a blog, I guess one, could you have imagined that this is where your business would be today? And how did you get here? What were sort of the steps you took along the way and the signs that you looked for along the way in knowing how and when to pivot?
Yeah. So in 2010, the blog industry looked very different than it does now. It was a lot of women who needed a creative outlet who just started recording their thoughts online for fun. And I was one of those women. I started a blog as a hobby to document my wedding, essentially.
Mhm.
And it accidentally took off. And so I rode that tide because it was fantastic. It was a way that I could be creative, connect with people, work from wherever. And at first, it wasn't necessarily work. It was just, like I said, me tossing stuff up on the internet. But eventually, it became an income stream. So in those days, I had no expectations. The blogging world was very small. You could reach out to your favorite bloggers and probably go take them to coffee. and and now, you could take them to tea
Okay, fine. Okay.
and cringe as they drink the coffee. Uh,
Oof, oof. Okay.
we agreed to disagree on the coffee tea front, and that's
Okay,
okay.
then we don't disagree on much, so I'll take it.
It's so true. Yeah, we have to have something to beef about. So yeah, in those days, I initially thought, oh well, this could be fun. What's the journey from where I am, which is a hobby blogger, to where she over there is, which is millions of monthly views and brand deals and a team. And what does that look like? And so I kind of started to think of it in more serious terms. And the concept of making it into a career was super appealing.
Mm,
And I don't know that I ever had my sights set on being kind of like a mega blogger,
mm,
and sort of made a conscious decision early on that we can chat about too, about where I could scale to maximally and be comfortable. But there were strategic steps that I did take along the way. I befriended bloggers kind of at the mid range between me and the biggest folks, who took me under their wing, who taught me things, who would let me guest post on their blog and thereby gain some audience members. And in those days, that made a difference. I
mhm,
don't know that you could do that today. I don't know that there's enough eyes anymore. I'm not sure that people are consuming blogs in the same way. I think
mhm.
attention span is much smaller than it used to be, which is why a lot of people are gathering their information on social media. So, kind of a few years into my story, Instagram came on the scene in a big way, and I was lucky to hop on early and gain a lot of following there early. And that has
Mhm.
also been super pivotal in kind of tracking to where I am now. Again, I feel like with the social media thing, unless you're in early, it's so hard to break in and make it meaningful, make it valuable as far as gaining traction and gaining audience and gaining reach and eyeballs and all of that. So if I was starting now, my approach would probably look different as well.
Yeah, well, and because, we're kind of specifically focusing on flexibility, and I feel like you've had to be flexible, and you've done so beautifully throughout your entire, all the iterations of your business. Um, just going back to those early days when you went from blogging for fun to then hopping on Instagram, you know, what sort of core values did you stay true to in making that first sort of pivot, I guess? Um,
Mhm.
and how did you keep it fun?
Yeah, I think there are kind of two main takes that I see in the content creation world, or you can call it influencing world. And one is to make the content that you like and find the audience, hope the audience filters out to that. And the other is to make the content that people are looking for, whether or not you like it.
Mm.
And I have consciously decided to do the first one. I have no judgment about those two takes. And in fact, I think the second approach probably will yield you more reach, more audience, more.
Mhm.
But I consciously decided to do the things that I love and find the audience that wants them. So my audience is niche. My audience is way niched down. It's not just lifestyle. It's not people who are looking for lifestyle inspiration. It's probably people who are looking for lifestyle inspiration, who like color, who
Mhm.
like to DIY, who probably are parents, who live in a certain type of town. It's very specific.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that I allowed myself to get that specific
Mhm.
and lean in has made it be continually fun, be continually enjoyable, be do the authentic.
Mhm.
And people read that. I,
Yeah.
I get on social media for different reasons too. Sometimes I get on looking for a recipe. Sometimes I get on looking to laugh. Sometimes I get on looking for news. And as a consumer of social media, you can also feel that when the creator is authentically tied to what they're creating, or if
Yep.
they're just really providing a service and information for you. Both are fine, but there's a difference.
Yeah.
And taking that first way has really kept me excited about what I do.
So that sort of is a good segue into talking about brand partnerships because
Mhm.
I think it's very, to the consumer, it's very easy to spot when an influencer or content creator is getting paid to promote a product that doesn't necessarily align with their brand, and it just feels awkward. It feels forced, and it's like, okay, but they need to make a buck, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So how do you choose your brand partnerships?
Yeah. I mean, I think over the years, but I've probably been doing brand partnerships for 8 to 10 years now, small and big and everything in between. And honestly, I have been in recent years trying to move away from having that be the main source of income from Lovely
Mm,
Indeed. I'm trying to have it be more traffic based, things like that. I do love working with brands, but specific brands, And so in the years that I've been doing this, I've really honed my approach when a brand comes to me or when I'm pitching to a brand. And the top priority for me, top line is, do I actually use this? Do I actually like this brand? Do I actually stand behind this product? Because for sure at the end of the day, I want to know that it aligns with my values. It's not something I'm shilling.
yep.
And I want to be able to speak honestly about it or make
Mhm.
something exciting and have it read as meaningful.
Yeah.
So I've certainly turned down brand work that either I didn't like the product or I didn't,
Mhm.
actually genuinely engage with it, and it's a bummer. It's a bummer because this is a freelance job at the end of the day, and you're turning down a paycheck, but, I have just found if you kind of, like, stick to your integrity, the money will come,
Yeah.
you hope. Um,
Well,
yeah.
I feel like in so far in every episode, every conversation I've had, there has been some mention of this is a long game. So whether we're talking about
Mhm.
social media or imposter syndrome or boundary, like it all comes down to in the world of freelancing and entrepreneurship, being able to remind yourself or have people around you to remind you that this is a long game. And so you will never go wrong being honest with yourself and having integrity and staying true to that. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Absolutely, yeah, and you see that play out across so many parts of this, not just brand work, but data, analytics, trends. You see the fact that this is a very long game really play out, and you have to know what you're in it for,
Mhm.
and kind of where you stand, yeah. And that actually also applies to brand work. I've become more conscious about the brands that I take now, in as much as what their values are. Um,
Mhm.
how do they treat their people? What are their politics, if I'm being frank? And that then trickles down to my followers and audience, and they want to know that the values that I have been portraying are real and true. And
Yeah.
people look at that. It's the parent. It's especially apparent now, I think. So all of those values come into play. And then of course contracts. You know, do they value my work? Does this
Yep.
brand value artists and creators? And are they going to give me creative freedom? Is it going to be real constricting? So there's a lot that goes into that brand work. And I have been so fortunate to work with some brands over the years who have come back many times. We developed sort of long term relationships. I think
Oh,
because
your husband
because
now?
if you're yes, he's okay with it.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, he's such a great guy. Yeah, I mean, if you're intentional from the beginning, a brand feels that on their end and as well, and it needs to be mutually beneficial. They're looking to reach an audience who really, really wants to engage with them.
Yeah. So earlier you talked about in response to our listener question, just take
Mhm.
one or two steps towards listening to your audience's requests. You don't want to entirely move away from a brick and mortar store, but your audience, your customers are telling you that they actually want something different or something in addition. So I guess what is one step you might recommend somebody take in order to know which of their customers' requests they should listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of soul searching there, right? And there's a lot of um, being honest with yourself about things like bandwidth? What can you do? What truly do you have the space for or the team for? There's a lot of questions about what would you stand behind,
Mhm.
whether it's something that an idea that you came up with yourself or an idea that someone else is requesting of you, what would you truly stand behind? It's almost I do great when I have these kind of questions for my business or for strategizing with pen to paper. And I'm almost like seeing a Venn diagram right now. What my audience is asking for, what I want to give, and how do those meet in the middle? Is there some idea that has something in common with a strength of yours or a passion of yours or a skill of yours that you could serve up to them that would be meaningful, that would add value for them, that would be
Mhm.
reachable for you, and that would enhance your business somehow. It's really a matter of creative thinking, brainstorming. This is also a moment too where you can bring in another mind. I work alone and I almost always have worked alone. I tried to build a team. I didn't like having a team.
Mhm.
But sometimes whether or not you have a team, another thinking partner
Thought partner,
can
yeah.
really yeah, can really just open up something to you that would never have occurred to you otherwise. And so it's just a matter of doing some intentional thinking, some creative thinking, and being real honest.
And I think to sort of add to that, it's not like pivoting or remaining flexible automatically also means that you are abandoning your core values or what you are trying to deliver or your service or your product or whatever it is. It's like this is a very real and a part of business that we all sort of have to accept, and it doesn't mean that you are failing at doing the thing that you've always done. It's that like business is ever changing and nuanced, and if you don't remain flexible, then you're probably going to be worse off by not being at least open to that opportunity.
Correct. I'm so glad you said that about the failure bit because I think that sort of weighs heavy on a lot of entrepreneurs' minds, and I had
Mhm.
that in my head as well. An audience member or a community member requesting something of you does not mean that your offerings are currently bad or not
Mhm.
enough.
Mhm.
It means that they're interested in interacting with you. It means that they are coming to you because they already like you and they want you to provide something that is more specific for them. And it's
Mhm.
up to you to decide whether or not you can do that, but it's a good thing. It
Yeah.
certainly is not a negative thing about what you are providing. And it's so easy as an entrepreneur to become really protective about what you're doing and creating and offering because it's freaking hard.
Mhm.
It's hard. Oftentimes, we're doing this on our own with our own blood, sweat, and tears,
Yep.
literally.
Yep.
And it becomes like a child that you're
Yeah.
protective of, that you love deeply, that in your eyes is fantastic. And likely it is fantastic, but that doesn't mean that outside ideas won't enhance it, won't make it more interesting,
That's
won't
right.
work with something that you're already doing.
Yep.
Yeah, that protective nature of the entrepreneur, I think, is kind of universal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the emotional investment is, something that is going to be stronger with you and then with anybody else.
Mhm.
Um so being able to take that outside feedback as something a little bit more objective is really powerful too. Um,
Absolutely, and go into it with an open mind.
yes.
Maybe those digital events at that bookstore would actually be fantastic.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah. And might even bring more people into the store as a result of it. It's really
Mhm,
easy to get very narrow-minded or,
mhm.
singularly focused on your idea and making it work. Um
100%.
so in terms of and I really despise the word pivot, but
Mhm, mhm,
I don't
mhm.
really know any other word.
Pivot.
Pivoting, yes, is like this is where we insert a Friends clip, that I certainly can't afford the, licensing
No,
for.
don't do it.
Okay, I
We'll
won't
just
do
think
it.
of it.
Yes, everybody knows what we're talking about. So okay, so, like, when COVID hit, I
Mhm.
ran a brick and mortar gym, and people came to classes in person. And COVID hit, and within 2 days, I had to completely change my business model to be entirely online. It was like, well, I did not have a choice, right? Well, I guess I suppose I
I
did. Yeah.
remember I remember it.
And, like, part of me this is gonna sound so strange, part of me actually found that, like, a fun challenge, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this is thrown at me. And now I have to like maintain my community and do the thing and somehow still make people want to, get excited
Mhm.
about working out and come to the online gym. But
Sounds like you.
that sounds like me. Yeah, I do love a good challenge. But like, that is a very extreme example of here's a business that has no choice but to pivot because there's all these external factors that are impacting it. So, short of another pandemic happening, like what are some of the signs that you look for in your business to know when you need to pivot versus when you need to just kind of stay the course and weather the storm or all of the other tropes that we could insert there?
Yes. Absolutely.
Trope. The trope
I
segment.
I the trope seg. Um, yeah, so a lot of what I do well, I mean, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are looking at data and analytics, right? And especially in the digital space where I am, analytics for some people are paramount.
Mhm.
Um, and can give you a lot of direction. There have been points in the story of Lovely Indeed where the analytics clearly showed me that something was not hitting. Either people weren't staying on my blog long enough. They would stay and read a post for 2, 3 seconds and leave. Or my followers on Instagram were not seeing the content that I wanted them to see. And those are fairly clear markers, that
Yeah.
that tweaks are in order, right? And I'm sort of into data and analytics, but actually I also sort of feel like you can also just tell in your gut when something's
Mhm.
not working or not hitting. To use COVID as an example, and I think we've chatted about this before early on in COVID, in my space, in my sort of niche, all the moms were freaking out, right? They were completely lost. They were suddenly at home with all of their kids in the middle of the school year homeschooling and trying to work and I saw that need, and while you were pivoting to give, people a space to gather and stay fit at home, I was pivoting to try to create something meaningful that parents and moms and dads could download that would give them some help with their kids. We were all
Mhm.
trying to reach out in any way that we could and just help.
Yeah.
And so pivots can also be triggered by an immediate need, either in your community, in the world, in your own household. And that's more of a gut driven thing than a
Mhm.
data driven thing, sort of. But pivoting because you're filling a need where there is a void is also super fulfilling. You know,
Yeah.
I was able to create, like, a digital download of just like, hundreds and hundreds of activities that parents could do at home with their kids. It was downloaded thousands of times and still is, and I've sort of tweaked it now so that's not so COVID focused, and it's just,
Mhm.
like, family focused. But that quick pivot led to a lot of other stuff. It led to a lot of other, like, e-publications and, brand work and all kinds of stuff because I was listening to my community, because
Yeah.
I was attuned, and because it just felt like the right thing to do. I didn't do it for the analytics or any of that in this case, although a lot of what I do is data driven. In that case, it was humanity.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that attunement, that really being attuned to your community, to your audience, to yourself and what you're feeling, whether something feels off, is so key and crucial. And those gut checks are going to guide you most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there, is there a trend that you've seen in whether it's in social media or just in influencing, the influencing world in general that you have seen be successful for others, but for you personally, you've said, not me?
TikTok.
Oh, excuse me, but I beg to differ because you like to send me TikToks
I
and
listen, I love being on TikTok. I'm a lurker on TikTok.
you
I
do send me funny
I
stuff.
I do this. TikTok is hilarious. I love being a consumer of TikTok. I have zero investment in creating on TikTok whatsoever. And if I had jumped in at the beginning, it would be doing a heavy lift for me. It would be sending me traffic. I would be making money on it. And I chose not to because I didn't want to. you know,
Like,
I,
hey, that's what my 4-year-old says all the time.
I
"Why
want
don't
to
you
do that.
want to?" "I just don't want to."
I just don't want
Okay.
to. And children are so wise.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good enough
Fair.
reason sometimes as an
Yeah.
adult too. I could feel and see right away that it was gonna be huge, and even though the landscape there changes so quickly,
Mm.
um, the folks who have been in since the beginning and who are really dedicated to it are doing fantastically, and great for them. I love
Yeah.
that for them.
Yeah.
Um, I truly do. I want everybody to do well. But I knew where my bandwidth was. I knew where I had already laid foundations. I knew where my audience was, and the type of content that they wanted to consume, and it wasn't going to be there for me. And I could have made that pivot, and I could have adjusted and fit myself into that sort of area, into that niche, and I consciously decided to be a lurker instead of a
Mhm.
a leader. And I stand behind it. I really do.
Well, every time you send me a TikTok clip, I will re-download TikTok on my phone just because I know whatever you send me is gonna be funny. Yes.
Just
Yes,
keep it on your phone.
but it, like, goes away if I don't use it after, X
I know,
number of
I know.
days. That's
Well, you
yeah.
know the solution. I just need to send you more clips.
That's it? That's the one?
That's the solution.
Oh god. Let me
Daily.
ask
Got it.
for you.
I'm hearing daily. Okay.
Day hourly, I think is yes.
Okay.
I don't wanna get anything else done. So, from, like, a personal and emotional investment, how do you handle it emotionally when something that you are so certain is going to land so well with your audience falls flat?
That's such a good question. Um, you and I met doing theater, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
We know from rejection. If you've done theater, if you've
We know falling
been on the audition, we know falling flat. Yeah. Yeah, I have tended to like gravitate towards careers with lots of rejection opportunities.
Yeah,
Um,
samesies. What's
Mm,
with that?
yeah. Isn't that interesting? Entrepreneurship
Yeah.
for sure, social media for
Mhm.
sure, theater for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many no's I got in audition rooms before you get a yes. And
Mhm.
and honestly, I think um, any entrepreneur needs to have a bit of a thick skin, and I do think it's a muscle too. I think that the more you do, whether you are resulting in success or failure, the thicker your skin gets. I do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it bothers me anymore if a piece of
Mm.
content falls flat because I have zero expectation. I used to have high expectations, and you could on social media when the algorithms used to be a little different.
Yeah.
And I think the algorithms being crafted somewhat in recent years have been great for everybody's humility. Um, and
That's a very kind way
and
of saying it.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody gets
it's
any
just a
likes
different.
anymore.
Nobody gets any likes, nobody sees your content, and that's,
Yeah.
so that's my version, in my world of something falling kind of flat. Very different for somebody with a brick and mortar, or, if you have
Mhm.
an event that nobody shows up to or any of that kind of stuff, um, can be so hard,
Mhm.
so humbling, um, so lonely, like, so saddening to put so much work in and so much heart in and not have it be received or grasped in the way that you want it to,
Mhm.
you know? I don't know that I have any brilliant wisdom for that other than
Suck
that.
it up.
Suck it up.
Suck it
No.
up.
No, other than keep going. You just have to keep going. Have a crap night, have a cry, to vent to a friend and keep going because the next idea is gonna hit.
Mhm.
Something's gonna hit eventually.
Mhm.
Um,
I think
the
that's
thing
all
that
good.
kinda does get me sometimes is comments. Sometimes.
Tell
And I
me
don't get
more.
too many nasty comments. I did have a I did a post recently where apparently my parenting was brought into question, and I had a lot of comments about the type of mom that I was.
What?
I won't name names, but I was compared to, a mom influencer who ended up in prison. Um
No, no, no.
Yeah, yeah, because I was talking about my helping my kid save money. Um, and
Okay.
those comments took me off guard a little bit. They caught me off guard. And I sat with them. I did not respond. I don't usually respond.
Mhm.
I really don't. But I sat with them, and then the next day, I went back and looked at them again, and I was like, "Oh, no, you guys are broken. You're sad. You're sad and broken.
Yep.
I'm okay. I don't know you. You don't know me. The internet is the Wild West, and you can say whatever you want on the internet.
Yeah.
So, so it and in person, I can also understand how that would be infinitely harder than being behind a screen, if you're an entrepreneur that's face to face. Um, but everything has to come with a grain of salt. And at the end of the day, if something falls flat or if, you get negative feedback, as long as you're standing in your integrity, as long as your business is aligning with your values, that's the best that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. But I think, like, giving yourself permission to feel it, sit with it, and then move on, and to be able to, like, recognize that this is not a me problem. I think that just comes with time and building that
Mhm.
muscle.
Yeah, 100%.
I still talk to this day about a negative Yelp review I got for my gym 13 years ago, literally the only negative Yelp review, and I am 100% certain it was a made up profile because it was someone who had never actually been in the gym. And it was so personal, it was so nasty, and it just rocked me. And if that happened now, I can't say I wouldn't be upset, but you're right. Like, that was a long time ago. I was just getting started, and you
Mhm.
know, hopefully there's far more positive to outweigh the negative.
100%. And, sometimes people just need to be angry at someone and you happen to
Yes.
be the recipient.
Yep. That's so
That's
true.
hard.
Yep, that is hard. When you see newer influencers come on the scene and they seem to be gaining a lot of traction quickly, I guess a la TikTok, or maybe more in the space that you are more active in, like Instagram and blogging, but they feel inauthentic. How do you approach that? What do you do with that?
What do you do with
What
that?
do you do with that? You
You
tell me about
know,
it. You
I
bet you about it to me.
yeah. I send it to my husband and I roll my eyes a little bit. No. I said it a minute ago and I do mean I want everybody to do well. I really
Mhm.
do. It's a saturated industry, but there is space for everybody. Um, and everybody has a different approach, right?
Mhm.
So while, somebody who comes in who's hot stuff and maybe a little bit, not quite feeling natural or authentic might rub me the wrong way, all you can do is scroll past and like say good luck. It's so tough in a digital space. It's like this endless supply of people to choose from, you
Mhm.
know, of the audience to come and pick pick out of with these million influencers or these million content creators.
Yeah.
And your people will find you. Your people will find you in the digital space, and your people will find you in the physical space as
Mhm.
well if you stay your course. I'm not sure that there's much to be done
Yeah.
about somebody coming in and and going gangbusters, and while we all have that familiar feeling of like, what the heck? Why this person? Why not me? What am I doing wrong? Should I study them? Should I stalk them?
Yeah.
That's so familiar.
What?
I'm not
Aw.
sure
I
that
don't know anything
I
about
know
that.
who? Well,
That's
I there
weird.
yeah. I think of all of that as just spinning your wheels.
Yeah. It's a waste
And
of
we can
energy.
exactly, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
We can expel energy doing that for sure, and maybe it feels good for, like, 24 hours, and that's fine, that's, like,
Mhm.
juicy and, like, salacious, and sometimes you just need to, like, give into that, but then the energy needs to go into what is not fulfilling me about my thing that's making me feel icky about this thing over here,
Mhm. Mhm.
where can I tweak? Where can I pivot that I would be super excited about to make
Yeah.
me just forget that is a thing?
Yeah.
I think if we just kind of point that energy back towards ourselves, it's probably the healthiest thing. It's not the easiest thing, but
Yeah.
it's for sure the healthiest thing for our mental wealth, our mental well-being, and for our business's well-being, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Well, and there's
Let's
a lot to
scroll
be
and
said
give
for
them
that.
a yeah.
Right. Right. Like, the emotional piece is a very important
Mhm.
piece, and the mental fortitude and the mental health piece is very important, especially in the world of entrepreneurship. So If you only rely on data and business and tasks and, that's just recipe for burnout.
100%. It has to be filling your cup as well, right?
Mhm.
You have to be well to
Yeah.
be able to serve people well.
I fill my cup with coffee.
I know you do.
I just wanted to see you wince again, but it didn't
I
happen, so
accept
thank
you and
you.
your coffee. Listen, I like coffee ice cream. I like coffee
Oh,
flavored ice cream.
yeah. Well,
I wonder
okay.
I wonder if I haven't ever had, like, a great coffee. Is that a
Mm.
possibility?
It is. I also think it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? It's okay. We can have our
I appreciate that.
one beef. We both eat beef, though,
And
right?
let us not discount tea. Tea is also amazing.
Well,
You're
you
like,
know. Do you watch Ted Lasso? Have you watched? And he's just like, "Ah, this is what does he call it? Dirt water or something." And I'm like, "Oh god, I've tried so many times throughout my life to like tea, and I've given up coffee for extended periods."
I have a proposition. I think that the next time we're together, I make you my best cup of tea, and you make me your best cup of coffee,
Oh boy.
and we, like, do a full review, full download.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So that means we have to like make plans to see each other. So like that. What are you doing this weekend? Knock knock. Uh, Well, Chelsea, thank you for joining me today. And thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
Yes, it really has. And I feel like we could talk for a long time, but nobody would listen after a certain point because it'd just be us being silly. Um, you can check out Chelsea's everything Instagram, Facebook, website at Lovely Indeed, and all her links to all the things will be in the show notes. So, we start each episode with our Hey Coach segment, and we'll end each episode by asking my guest this question. On the podcast, we talk a lot about how entrepreneurship is basically a workout. So, what is one business strength or habit you wish you had developed earlier in your career? Now, I'll give you an example just to kind of maybe spark some ideas. So, my last guest said that she wishes she'd developed better systems and standard operating procedures early on. So, as she grew, those things didn't need to be reinvented every time.
Ah, I love this. This is a great question. Okay, I'm hyper organized. I my boxes are always checked. I think of all the things. But organizationally, that has never been a challenge for any of the businesses or the branches of businesses that I've launched. But I wish from day one and even to this day that I was more trusting of myself,
Mhm.
more I wish that I valued myself more. Maybe I wish that I could find a way to quiet the imposter syndrome. And I wish that I had found ways to be comfortably more assertive. Uh, there have
Mm.
been many moments that I can look back on and think, I didn't speak my mind. I gave up because I thought I wouldn't succeed. I shortchanged myself. Um, and, you know, organizational, logistical parts of business are extremely important, but um, you have to also show up for yourself and just make the thing happen. You have to believe in yourself so deeply and advocate for yourself and for your business. And that is a muscle that I still would love to work on and get stronger.
I love that. Totally, totally with you on that. You know, one of the when I was thinking about what my answer to this question would be, and it's not dissimilar to what you just said, but it's more that I wish that I had also been able to recognize and accept the parts of me and my work style and my skill set or whatever that were not the strongest so that I could
Mm.
just say I could outsource and I could have a more, robust business by asking for help because
Yeah.
I wasn't just, upset with myself that I couldn't just figure it out on my own. And I think that comes along with that imposter syndrome. of just feeling like, but I should just figure it all out on my own because it's my thing.
Yeah,
So,
100%. I think that's a skill too, is asking for help when you need it. That's beautiful.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if you've enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, leave a review, and submit your Hey Coach questions to me at leslieatthefitnessofbusiness.com. See you next time.